just flew in from Albuquerque, and we're certainly happy to be here tonight. And what a wonderful space!
Yeah. Whose daughter is that?
Okay, so there was a quote I found from Jack Kerouac this afternoon, where he was saying, "Write for the world of it." And I really thought that's pretty simple and wonderful, and that's what we'd like to give you for about 30 minutes, some pictures of our experiences with the Cuban people and the Cuba that we've come to know during the last 15 years of travels there. And I know we're going to have a fantastic band playing, and you might even hear a little bit of the Yoruba chanting. I'd like to just invite the Orishas, the Cuban deities, to come in, have a good time with us tonight. So I'm going to give a shot of rum to, I know I'm supposed to give a shot of rum to Lazaro, but he's not here. So a little bit to Elegua, who opens the doors to a good time. May he provide us with a great time tonight. And another one to Chango. He's the patron of musicians and drummers, and they say when Chango comes to dance, it thunders. So I know we're going to hear some thunder tonight. I pass this around, but it always, you know, when I'm working with students, it keeps coming back empty. I don't know what goes on, but some of them like to pass it around. It's here, you know.
Over here!
Of course, the last place I read was Whittier College. Wasn't that Nixon's alma mater? I'm going to let Renee Gregorio begin, and we'll go back and forth reading our own poems.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Gio. What a great space. It's really fun to be here already. So, bienvenidos. On the Cancun to Havana flight, a rainbow grows down from the plane's wing, follows the flight path west to east, over deep water blues swirled into the glassy sheen of the Gulf. The rainbow touches Cabo San Antonio first, threatens to disappear over Huanuanico, its colors growing faint, then evaporates as the plane touches down at Jose Marti International. Moist heat seeps into our desert pores, curls our flattened hair as we hire a taxi to Habana Vieja. In soundless air conditioning, arrive at our casa, the rainbow now inside us. The second the taxi door is opened, the silence ends. A huge arc of music enters our ears, our skin, alongside so many Cuban voices that the music becomes the voices music. It is then the rain comes pouring all the way down.
High Mass in Fefita's kitchen.
Won't you pay attention?
From her 5th floor apartment, Fefita watches us through her binoculars. She notes our confused looks as we wonder which street radiating out from Parque del Amor is hers, until there she is. We spot her madly waving from her balcony. A complete stranger, she greets us at the top of her stairs, 2 loud kisses on each of our cheeks. She shows us our room, brews 3 cafecitos in her tiny kitchen, and we sit. Talk about rising prices at the market, the appearance of Fidel in the media, the sudden thaw of relations between the U.S. and Cuba. They're coming to talk, she says. They'll come in suits, I mutter. And ours will be waiting in guayaberas. That's what she shoots back at me, but I say they should hold their talks on a dance floor. Sure, she laughs, like this. Hands on each other's hips, ready to salsa. She grabs my waist, we begin to swing. Tiene ritmo, she calls out to Rene. He's got rhythm. Well, In the sticky air wafting in from breakers foaming over the malecon, we spin and slide over the star pattern linoleum. This is high mass in Fefita's kitchen. Music waiting in the body. Salsa impromptu. Immediate camaraderie.
Fefita. Swimming Cuba. A woman's distorted reflection in the beveled glass door. Photos of young revolutionaries in black and white. A whole park for John Lennon. A bucanero followed by a dark pull of coffee at the Peso bar. Thunder on Maury's back patio and the long bunch of bananas slowly ripening. 21 bridges over the Rios Yumuri and San Juan, more thunder, such a pouring down. I was looking outside myself then in, thinking these might be signs for the road ahead. Beyond the tepid air of sea, the endless honking, a waitress holding a tray above her head for an umbrella. Birdsong behind diesel crank, her brown legs, his white hat, how we were his first Americans. I feel a different rhythm now, like backstroking in a wide sea without the measure of a pool's rope. How profound it actually is to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can clap on that one. In Havana, you know, if they want you to get off the stage and they're not liking what you do, they'll just raise their little mojito glasses and the spoons and click, 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 click. Okay, this is democracy. From the balcony, every rain-streaked cast iron rail is draped with drying clothes. The air is billowed with trade-wind clouds, alive with the light of an old Italian master. One can almost detect voluptuous cherubs in those clouds, or a naked Venus, the one embossed on Cuban cigar bands, plump as a Renoir, enveloped in smoke rings, flanked by feathered Apaches. Down below, a girl pedals her bicycle, elegantly upright, curls of flame, her sneakers blinking neon purple. One story up, a sax goes at it, an emotional screech that follows no logic save for that of the bare heart, a wrinkle of sadness, hop-skip of prey. With a celebratory sizzle, the voice of a rumbero erupts from a sea of hand claps. Between a line of bed sheets, a pair of hotel workers steals a fondle. Echoes sift from ramparts, light rays ricochet into the mime's upside-down top hat, waiting for a tip. Someone shouts, Elian. Someone answers, Yadel. And then, Junior, Olivia, Epifanio, Celia. A clatter of scaffolds comes loose from a half-restored angel. A neighbor leans over a rusted weather vane, peers between cast iron fleur-de-lis, and rails up a pineapple on a string. Every improbability becomes a possibility here. We are no longer simply in the human parade, we are in the realm of synchronicities. It's a good reason to go back.
Fernando, tobacco farmer. Gracias por su ayuda, he said, leaning into me from his perch on the arm of my wooden rocker. Well, his rocker. After all, we were on his front porch among mogotes and fields of tobacco. He appeared on the trail we walked, which turned out to be his backyard, his farm, and invited us to his house, just like that. Campesino Fernando, with his blazing blue eyes and tattered plaid shirt, his crooked smile. He made pina coladas with and without rum, frothy and delicious. I took mine with. Then sat beside me and plunked 2 stacks of dried lead, into my lap, telling us all by then others had gathered, how tobacco is grown, cutting it into 3 long splices, removing the central vein, rolling it into one perfect cigar. Then looking down at my thighs overflowing with his leaves, he laughed and lit the cigar, passing it to me and my lips. I felt like I could walk into that life, wake up in his simple whitewashed house, call it home.
Yeah, Fernando. I was going to suggest the next 3 poems, if we can do them, really kind of center around the town of Guanabacoa, which is across Havana Bay from Old Havana. And the rumba is still very strong there, and the Yoruba language is, because it's so inherent to the Afro-Cuban practices of Santeria, which have a foothold in places like Guanabacoa. It's also where the little ferry ends up when you're crossing Havana Bay to Regla, the port below Guanabacoa, where there's a beautiful shrine to the All-Mother Goddess, Yemaya. So she's a very important Orisha. This is called Hasta Guanabacoa. In sifting rain, we board the ferry behind a lady whose dress is all pockets. Blue candles, zinc amulets, plate gladiolas. Across the bay, a chapel sits like a tavern entombed with incense, rum, votive wax. And when I climb the steps and bow to the dark saint in her alcove of honey and white sails, doves burst into a wine-colored fan. Here, nobody is more than anybody else. The bride purifying herself on the kneeler wears see-through lace. A man bent like a weather vane creates a breeze with his supplication. A niña half hidden in her mother's folds gives me her eyes, and with them her poverty. Back on the sea, my head turns in circles, triumphs with doubt, holds close these moments where one becomes another and a new self embarks.
Lucia the Santera. There is no translation for what happens here. Her language comes from a place only she can reach. Lucia with her rapid Spanish and grunts, her cigar puffing and smoke making, the trance of her that enters me like a prayer. She wails and spits, bends over and moves backwards, drags a bundle clear out the door, beyond the blonde Christ on his cross, beyond San Lazaro and the bottle of rum, through the haze of cigar smoke, right into her advice of rosewater and honey, what she seems to know of my mother, how she finds the exact words of absolution. She anoints me with Chango as my Orisha, rubs her belly, and says, "Walk a wide road with great confidence. You have all the children of the earth in your belly," and grunts again, pleased by her own revelations.
Bring orange peels, ashes, canela, she tells me. Strip off the white suit of the butcher, the barber, the angel. Wear only a plastic thunderbolt. Loosen your frame. Prepare your silhouette to shake off the dust of the world. Ile mojuba, akoda mojuba. Kiss the earth. Rise on one foot. Call on Elegua to open all doors. Ilu anya yambu. Let the oracle wash your vertebrae of regret. Ile mojuba, akoda mojuba. Read each letter backwards until you've got it right. Feel it. Feel it now. Okonkolo bata bata rumba. Okonkolo bata bata rumba. Let your bare feet leave the beach for the deepest water. Fix your eye on the horizon. Say to yourself, Ilu anya yambu. I have arrived. I am ready for you.
That's good reading.
So this poem is called called Casa de la Trova. And actually, this reminds me a little bit of Casa de la Trova. Yeah,
It does.
there's
This
House
is a
of
Casa de
the
Trova.
yeah, it is for Topanga. It's you know, House of the Troubadour, House of Music, Casa de la Trova. She came right up to me, took my hand and smiled, wouldn't take no for an answer. There was nothing I could do. She led me to the dance floor with her swaying hips. She led me with her shaking shoulders, her cool stepping. Sometimes she held my hands. Sometimes we grazed each other. Sometimes she turned from my gaze. Sometimes her river became my river, and sometimes we were weeds in the flow, swaying with a current not our own, but we made it ours. She led me, and I felt her rhythm, and I followed, and I wanted to. When it was over, she turned from me, so I thanked her. She turned back, and we kissed. Yes, briefly we kissed, and I said to my husband, I have the scent of a Cuban woman on my hands, and I did, and I do, a scent unlike my own.
I never got enough dance. Ceiling fans madly spin over the dance floor as if to subdue the heat. Hips and bellies, shoulders roll to the beat. Every part of the body is liquid, rotating on its own, yet perfectly aligned with the body's spine. Tight attire, tight rhythmic swing, exuberance. A no holding back vibe. One dancer, eyes aflame, tongue between teeth, lips glossed deep fuchsia, shakes in spasmodic rhapsody. Well displayed in a sassy dress, cut high above thighs, ruffles cascading down one arm across the belly to the gyrating hips. She's a raindrop, soft, falling slow motion to the floor. A prism, a hypnotic prism of perfume. Music, music of seduction, music of rebellion, a secret sigh, a bang of a blacksmith's hammer, swords of ragged light. On a night like this, every option is open. Love to dying of love, fighting for the cause to dying for the cause. Anything less than getting into trouble simply isn't worth it. Little rum helps.
Dreaming of writing, Hibara. That night in a broken down town by the Atlantic, we slept in the dueña's bedroom, a colonial mansion with 20-foot ceilings, doors that stopped halfway up so the sea air could enter all night long. That was the night we slept so well, woke to the sound of each other's skin, woke to hands and flesh and mouths. And when we'd had enough of what was delicious between us, I rolled aside, awakened, asking, how does my blood course through me? What am I made for? What is really underneath this skin and bones? I remember dreaming, not the dream so much as the state, and what I felt in my entire body was a surge. Energy ran up and down and through me, electrical, pulsing. My right arm full and wanting, needing to move that energy out, wild and perfect, into language, into a way of naming what it is I have always wanted to feel.
A little girl in white chiffon, pinned with a sacred heart, skips through hopscotch squares, her feet 2 asterisks in the lemon-colored rain. And she is how it would look, I imagine, my own soul, if it could escape my coat and walk this world of bells and peeling facades. Passing Jose Marti on his marble horse, she reaches the pier of light and joins the queue for the Casablanca ferry. Green air, green eyes in copper faces, engine oil and carnations on the breeze. With her head tilted to the opal moon above Havana, she fills me with a fragile liberty, the innocent grace of Cuba, a poise, a coolness in the face of adversity. As the ferry putters off, ball caps, backslap, spandex hips, thick chatter of politics and apocalypse. In the ringing and shuffling, she is there with that perfect look of a transparent diamond, a rose in the teeth of the sea.
I'm going to read a selection from a longer poem, called Map of an Island. On Casablanca's quiet streets, we meander up the winding hill, where I am stopped suddenly by a limestone cliff dug carefully out of rock, crafted into a home, and of the same rock a wall that encloses it. Something tugs at a place in me that recognizes the known in the unfamiliar. I feel in my pocket for the key. On bus number 29 to Regla, a young woman in platform shoes talks to us about her country's two currencies, how she earns her wages in moneda nacional, yet has to buy jeans or platform shoes in the peso convertible, the inflated prices of the tourist currency. In Cienfuegos, streets are all laid out in a grid. In Camagüey, they go every which way. I can't get my bearings on streets laid out in a grid, but find my way easily on those that aren't supposed to make sense. Yet I feel betrayed by Camagüey, a city that made me fall for it hard and fast, then kept me awake all night long, partying with everyone but me. It's true. On the Malecón, a man alone on the seawall faces the bronze statue of Antonio Maceo, taps his heel on the stone, practices his trumpet, a bright, strong sound of scales he first learned as a child. In Baracoa, at the Biblioteca, a little girl in dark braids, mustard skirt, and white blouse sits up straight on her bench to play the piano, as effort and desire mix equally in the staccato and legato she delivers. In Moron, in Viñales, in Centro, the constant presence of laundry drying on balconies and the women's hands who draped it there, men on stoops talking to each other, waves overtaking seawalls, freshly pounded mojitos, the mint clear sweetness, everywhere such light. Makes me want a mojito, right?
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do two more.
Yeah, sounds good.
This is called The Caretaker of Nuestra Señora de Belén. Teodosio's job is to steer onlookers away from the dangers of falling stone, pokes of rebar, a mishmash of electrical wires around the half-restored 18th century church of Nuestra Señora de Belén. He's a university graduate who took the only work he could find, despite my credentials of higher learning, but at least the job gives me time to read. When he tells us what he's currently reading, we think we've misunderstood his Spanish. D. Brown, I ask, to double check. See, he replies, bury my heart at wounded knee. Noting our surprise, he asks if we are professors. Poets, we clarify. He smiles. Then you must be familiar with José Martí or maybe Roque Dalton. Books, language, what a passion, no? Teodosio studied Russian, speaks it well, along with a little English and French. I'm also fluent in Czech. I visited the country on a scholarship when the Soviets were here. I'd like to become a tour guide for Czech visitors. I know Havana's history inside and out. After giving us a brief tour of the cloisters, Teodosio doesn't want a tip, But when I ask a final question, if he's ever read Eduardo Galeano, he lights up. Open veins of Latin America. Now Teodosio's modesty loosens. Maybe you could bring me his new book next time you visit. By then, perhaps, the embargo will be history.
So this is the last poem that's in Siempre, but the Palace Press in Santa Fe recently did a book just of that poem, and so I'm celebrating that. It just came out. So I'm going to read from this version. And in case you're thinking of a trip to Cuba, this poem is called Advice to a Traveler to Cuba. Love the facades, the fading colors, the worn, the tired. Love the dark. Walk the streets open to music, the deep cuts of women's blouses, the bare backs brown and blended with the night. Take your kisses on both cheeks with sounds of lips smacking. Not the mask of the thin layer of stucco, but the rows of crooked red bricks beneath, the bones of architecture. Yes, be mesmerized by cleavage and black, but try to understand what drives the darkness. Hear the message of the revolutionaries, how literacy can be desired and achieved. Recognize your own prejudice. You know that night you nearly would not go into the corner bar because it looked rough and only men were there and unknown and black, and then you did. You entered through that doorway. First, they welcomed you, then gave you rum, offered their warmth and curiosity, laughed with you, wished you well. Carry within that other beat and pulse, the color of their skin, the way people live side by side and care. Take in cooperation, not competition, as a way of being. Learn to love what doesn't work, like that Casablanca train, ready to go one day, broken the next. How you couldn't get where you wanted to go in the way you planned. Learn to love the trip you took instead. Listen for thunder. Feel the laundry that never dries because of the rain. Navigate the city full of bridges and poets, and love that. Let the water cascade off rooftops beside you. Let yourself remember that lover you once had and thought you'd have again. Look, there he is, grinning at you from the face of an old Cuban man. Partings, but no end. And learn to dare to speak in another language. Eradicate hesitancy. Ask what living within certain limits has kept you from. Take stock from a city you don't know and never will. Let yourself be visited by the locos in the wide cafe, the old man with a fistful of pebbles and shells, the self-proclaimed historian with the red scarf wrapped around his head who speaks like a guidebook. Let yourself be swept away in sound, in movement, in each other, in that no-holding-back singer who fell to his knees to belt out his lyrics, in the painting Unidad, where the arms of a couple became branches of a tree. Find what's familiar in the wind-ravaged town by the sea, where something can be built again from nothing. In those layers of blue, azure of near water, sapphire of deeper waters, cerulean blue of sky, grow your love to a deeper strata. In the maze of streets you can't find your way through, know that inside the center holds, like the hurricane's eye, let it hold.
Thank you so much. beautiful audience. You're right there.
Is this working?
Yes.
Thanks, Dad. And my stepmother, who I love. I think we're going to take a 5-minute break. There are a few of these books for sale at the front. There's also some of these books. And we'll just take a little 5-minute break, and then Lazaro Galarraga will be coming to share his folkloric Afro Cuban ensemble. And Lazaro is, El Maestro Lazaro is an amazing human being. He's a mentor, he's a choreographer, he's a writer, he's an amazing musician, and his homeland is Havana. And with him will be Gary Cravewell, Bobby Wilmore, John O'Knight, Nick Stark, Miguel Leon, Peter Jacobson on cello, and I'm just honored that they're here in this space, and I thank you all for being here. So a little break, and we'll come and set up. Now we can open all the doors, but it's really hard. Okay, so what I've done is I need to turn the sound off.
Well, you must. Yes, you must.